A value is that which is considered important to an individual or group. A person's set of values is often considered to be their belief system. Because values are valuable or important, they form the basis for our actions and priorities. Hi, my name is Thomas, and in this video I'm going to share with you 3 things I've learned about values. Let's get started. Whether it's courage, self-control, action, family, transparency, truthfulness, faithfulness, name it, values are important. And after living for 28 years here on earth, I have made it a very important part of my life to, at every given time or period in my life, know what values I'm living for. The first thing I've learned about values has to do with their significance. The second thing is primarily about why every human being needs to be intentional about what value system or what values they are living for. And then thirdly, how values are influenced by times and seasons in life. So the first thing I've learned is that just as the human blood in the human body is important to the functioning of the body, so are values to the human psyche. The psyche, generally speaking, makes up what we call the mind. And over the past few years, roughly about 5 to 6 years, I have observed myself and I've come to realize that my mind is largely controlled by my value system. In other words, I am controlled by the things I tell myself are most important to me. Now, it's important to note that the things that are important to any human being isn't just what he says, isn't just what he thinks. It's much more complex than that. A lot of times, even what we act out shows what is important to us, and sometimes it might even be contrary to what we might say with our words or what we might have said already. So the things that are important to me have to be carefully examined, and that is why it's important to be intentional about your values. So for example, if I tell myself that diligence is one of my values, and time after time I approach my work, my duties and responsibilities as a husband, as a father, as a student, as a worker, whatever, with slothfulness, I am no doubt going to experience negative emotions. I'm not going to be happy because I'll be messing up with my mind or my psyche. My whole setup, my whole mental being is going to be disrupted because I say that diligence is one of my values, and yet I'm slothful. They don't go together. That would be like running a program that is supposed to run on a Mac, on a PC. It just won't work. So my value set or system really is what defines me. It focuses me on the most important things of life so that I can achieve the best. And that is why values are important. They dictate who I am. They show me places to go. They order my steps basically in ways that are going to conform with the person that I am. So if I say truthfulness is one of my values and I am not being truthful, I am going to be constantly reminded that you are not practicing, you are not doing the things that are important to you. And if you're a Christian, you know this. You have told yourself that prayer is important. You have told yourself that reading the Word of God is important. You've learned it. You understand that there is value in this. That is why when you're not doing them, you don't feel good. So to summarize everything I've said, I would say that my values form the bedrock upon which I thrive mentally. Now, the second thing I've learned about values is that every human being needs to have a set of values. Another way to say this would be that One needs to live for something. And the reason is simple. If values form the bedrock upon which my mind thrives, then I must of necessity have values. What I mean by that is simply this. Not all things are worth doing. Some things have to be worth doing more than others, given the time, the space, and the person involved. Over the past 5 to 6 years, I've spent a lot of time with myself, asking myself some of the most difficult questions, and really pushing myself to be intentional about life. And I have come up with a system that works for me. It's a system of 3 sets of 3 values. So, in all, 9 values that I have come to believe form my core. And in the first set, I have family, holiness, and selflessness. In the second set, I have vision, courage, and leadership. And in the third set, I have integrity, diligence, and contentment. Core values are generally values that an individual is willing to stand by or to live out in any given instance or situation, no matter what. In other words, given a plethora of values, they are going to pick those ones and put them out there and lay them out. So one must be very intentional. It's not something that you just pick out of nowhere, because it's something that you expect yourself to stand by. So for me, what that means is that I demand holiness from myself. I demand integrity from myself. I demand to value family for myself. I demand selflessness. I demand diligence. I demand contentment from myself. And that helps me to focus my mind and makes my life a little bit narrower, all for my good, because it focuses my attention and energy on things that matter to me. Now, while it can take quite a long time to figure out what really is important to you, it's not a rocket science. There are a number of values, and you don't have to pick a lot to begin with. You can start with one value, something that is of extreme importance to you. Maybe you want to be an honest person. Pick honesty. And as you move on in life, you would recognize other things that are of importance or value to you, and then you add them on. And over time, you are going to figure out what your core values are. This is something that is very important in life. And as a man talking about this, I would add that, especially for men. If you're a young man, this is one of the areas that you, if you're able to nail down, can really go a long way to help you in other areas of life. To summarize everything I've said so far about why it's important for every individual to have at least a set of core values, I'll leave you with a statement I wrote for myself as a reminder. And here it is. At any given time or period in my life, if I do not know what is most important to me, then I am half dead. The third thing I've learned about values is that they are sometimes influenced by times and seasons. Now, it is very important to have a set value system, or at least a core value system, upon which one would determine their character and what's most important to them in life. However, I've also learned to recognize that with each change in times and seasons of my life come new priorities. So, what I mean is that values have to be checked and reviewed along with seasonal changes of life. And I'll give you an example. As a young single man, I valued loyalty to my friends, especially in the area of sports. I like playing soccer. I was always the guy you could count on when there was a match. I would be there to help with the organization and training and name it. Now, after I got married, Times and seasons had changed for me. I was in a new season of life. I was a husband. I had different roles and responsibilities and duties in life. And being loyal to my friends in the area of sports became less valuable to me compared to being the husband that I want to be, or you can say having value for my family. So I had to tell my friends, I'm no longer going to be the guy you could always count on. There are going to be times you call me for matches and I'm going to have to turn you down. So don't build the team around me because I can't be counted on. Simple as that. So what that shows here is that when the person has his or her values put together, it really makes life simple. And being able to have a hold on your values or what's most important to you really makes the people around you aware of who you are, whether they like it or not. But my experience has been that being able to fully articulate what's most important to me actually brings clarity to the people in my life. They are able to appreciate me. And in fact, my friends in this particular instance support me. They understand that, yeah, man, you are a husband now. We understand, yeah, well, when you do have time, just join us. And in fact, I enjoyed the few times that I've spent with them playing together because I still cherish time spent with them. But again, per my values, not as much as time spent in my home with my wife. These are the three things I've learned about values. The importance of values, why I need to have values, and being aware of the seasonal changes in life, and always being in tune to adjust my values in accordance to my new season. Please feel free to let me know what you have learned about values. And if you have any values, share them in the comments section. I would be very happy to read them. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'll see you in the next video. And never forget to pursue and maintain peace with the people you engage with in life. See ya.